Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you to the TRSA for sponsoring and promoting this webinar series. My name is Emily, and I work at UniformMarket. The topic of today's webinar is social media, and although we're calling this webinar Commercial Laundry Meets Social Media, the topics that we discuss can really apply to any industry. So for a quick overview of today's webinar, we'll discuss social media as it pertains to the uniform and commercial laundry industries, and we'll cover the following topics: what social media is and why it's important for your company, common social media fears and stumbling blocks that companies face and how to overcome them, social media basics and how to get started, and I'll also share a few social media do's and don'ts. I'll also be able to answer questions that you may have. Just so you're aware, I will be speaking and you'll be able to hear me, but I won't be able to hear you. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to type them into the GoToWebinar chat area. And at the end of the webinar, we'll go through the questions and select a few, depending on how much time we have, and I'll be able to answer those for you. So to start out, we'll talk about what social media is. The term social media can apply to any interactive online content, but for our purposes today, we'll be referring to social media as outlets where your customers are gathering and interacting with friends, family members, and even other companies. Today, I'll mainly be referring to these popular social media outlets: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Foursquare. To start out, Facebook is obviously the main social media site that most people refer to. It's where people can create profiles, share pictures and videos, post status updates, add friends, and like other companies. And I'll just quickly show you the UniformMarket Facebook page as an example. You can see that we have, well, actually this is our news feed, companies that we follow. But the UniformMarket Facebook page, we share links. Here's a link to Made to Measure magazine that we run. Here's a poll that we posted. So these are some of the things that you can do with your Facebook page. Next, we'll talk about Twitter. This is a site that allows users to share 140-character tweets that answer the question, what's happening? Tweets can also contain shortened links. And I'll explain what I mean by that. You can, I'll show you here, Lone Star Uniforms, their Twitter page. You can see that they share a tweet, and then at the end of it, they have a shortened link to a particular URL, and you see that they do this in each of their tweets. To create a shortened URL, you use a URL shortener like this one here, bit.ly. You just put in a URL here, and then you click shorten, and then you got one of those nice shortened links that you can use in Twitter so that you can keep within that 140-character limit that they have. LinkedIn is a business networking site. Individuals can create profiles and add others to their professional network. Companies, groups, and organizations can also participate. You can also create a group on LinkedIn, and I'll show you one of our groups that we have. Everything Uniforms is a group that we at UniformMarket started, and it allows people in the uniform industry to join. They can discuss, topics related to the uniform industry, and they can network with each other. But you can see here we have Rick Levine's LinkedIn profile. And here he shares his background, his professional background, educational background, and you can see these groups that he's a part of that are related to the uniform industry, and people that he is linked to, 500 plus connections in his network. So that's kind of how LinkedIn works, really business oriented. Foursquare is one that I like a lot. It's a mobile-based application that allows users to check in at retail stores, restaurants, entertainment venues, and more. They can earn badges for their check-ins, and they can also receive discounts or coupons from businesses. And I'll show you what I mean by badges. Here's a list of, I only have one badge myself, but this is a list of badges that you can earn on Foursquare, the newbie badges for the first check-in that you have. And then there are a ton of other ones. One of them is a gym rat badge that you can earn for checking into a gym a certain amount of times. Another one that's not shown here is a foodie badge. So if you check into a restaurant a certain amount of times, you earn the foodie badge. So this is a really popular mobile-based application that people are using, and they can check into your retail store if you are a retailer, and you can set up a discount for them if they check in, or some sort of incentive, and we can talk about that a little bit later. But for now, I will talk about why social media is important. If you haven't yet jumped aboard the social media bandwagon, you may be wondering why social media is important. And there are many ways to answer this question, but I think that I can answer it a little more easily with a number, 800 million. And that's how many people actively use Facebook. That is 2.6 times the population of the United States. And of those 800 million active users, more than 50% log on to Facebook on any given day. So that's quite a few people. Facebook and other social media sites are where your customers are spending their time, and you can reach out to them by establishing an online presence. Think of it this way. Companies have always focused their advertising and marketing efforts on reaching out to existing and potential customers by meeting them where they are, be it at the movies, on the road, using billboards, or in magazines. But now your customers are living their lives online. And so it's important to establish a presence there as well. So social media sites give your company another way to reach out to customers. But social media also gives you new, unique opportunities to define yourself as a company. So we'll talk about a few ways that social media is unique. Social media, first of all, enables your company to establish a two-way relationship with customers. With other forms of advertising like print, radio, and television, companies somewhat push a message out into the world and hope that it will be received by the intended audience. And to be sure, those are still great forms of advertising. With social media, however, you have the opportunity to engage in a two-way relationship with customers. They choose to like you on Facebook or follow you on Twitter or check into your store on Foursquare, and in turn you provide them with content that's valuable to them. The downside to this type of relationship, however, is that the customer can end it at any time. This puts a little pressure on you to create interesting content for them and to keep them interested and excited about your business. A second unique feature of social media is that it allows you to show people the genuine human side of your company. More and more companies are using social media outlets to showcase their genuine human side. The image on this slide shows a photo album that Cintas posted to their Facebook page showing the company's participation in a mission trip to Haiti. This allows followers to see a side of Cintas that they may not have seen otherwise. Social media is also unique in the sense that it's easy, it's fresh, and nothing's permanent. I'm sure that some of you are a little afraid of social media, and we'll address some of those fears in a little bit. But in reality, it's really pretty easy to participate. You can share an observation, ask a question, post a link that you like, and unlike traditional forms of advertising, you have the opportunity to instantly undo a mistake. If you post a status update with a typo, for instance, you can change it immediately. Social media also allows you to publicly provide great customer service. Social media has created a new way for companies to interact with customers and to provide customer service. And in the example here, you can see an angry customer has posted a negative comment on JCPenney's Facebook page. And JCPenney responds by providing a really great, appropriate, apologetic response that's available for everyone to see. Anybody that follows JCPenney will see this interaction. So, and the customer in the end is happy with the response that they've received. And this really actually makes JCPenney look responsible, responsive, and it can be seen as a good thing. So now we'll get to some of the common social media stumbling blocks or fears that people have. Many companies are aware of the importance of social media, but they're afraid of approaching it the wrong way. And here are some common fears and how to handle them. The first and probably most common is just not knowing what to say. When it comes to advertising and marketing, the name of the game has always been crafting the perfect message and getting it to the right audience at the right time. But with social media, creating the perfect message isn't as important anymore. There's a little bit more freedom and flexibility, and it's a little bit more casual. And the rules are a little bit more lax. You can talk about a new product that you like. You can share a joke or post a picture. In this example, Perfection Uniform simply shared a picture of a rainbow over Chicago that happened yesterday. And it gives their company a really personal, genuine feel. The second fear that people have is speaking to an empty crowd. It can be tough to start tweeting or posting status updates, especially when you feel like you don't have very many followers quite yet. If you're struggling to build up your following, you can start by following others. If you're a retailer, for example, you can start by liking all of your favorite manufacturers, as well as local businesses and organizations that you support, maybe a local charity that you like. And these companies and organizations and groups may like you in return. Another idea is to offer an incentive. You can email your customer or client list and let them know that your Facebook page is the place to look for exclusive deals and coupons. That's always a good way to get people interested. Another fear that people have is opening the door to negative feedback. A challenge that companies who use social media face is dealing with very public negative comments from angry customers. The fear of this negative feedback keeps some companies from using social media at all, but it shouldn't. Negative comments can actually benefit you more than hurt you. In this example, with Dansko's Facebook page that you can see here, a customer is upset about product quality, and Dansko has the opportunity to show that they're dedicated to making things right. I know if I was unsure about buying Dansko footwear, seeing this would actually make me feel more confident because it's clear that I wouldn't be left in the lurch if something went wrong. Another stumbling block that companies face, is establishing a consistent voice for their company online. For some companies, it can be difficult to strike a balance between keeping followers interested and excited while still upholding the company's goals and values. Maybe your customers would love it if you did nothing but share jokes with them all day, but the decision makers at your company want you to push certain products or services, and luckily you don't really have to choose one over the other. In the image shown, this is a tweet from Lone Star Uniforms, and it's really timely, it's fresh, it's fun, funny, and it's also rewarding to their followers, but it still drives traffic to their site and their Facebook page. The great thing about social media is that you can really learn as you go. As you participate more and more, you'll figure out what kind of content your followers like, as well as what furthers your business goals best, and you'll eventually strike that balance. Don't worry if it doesn't happen overnight, and don't be afraid to make mistakes along the way. Again, nothing is permanent. So now we'll get into some social media basics and how to get started if you haven't started already. The first step I would say is to create a Facebook page. If you're going to choose just one social media outlet, I would definitely suggest Facebook because it's the most versatile, and of course it offers the widest audience. It has, by far the most users out of any of the social media sites. You'll want to be sure to create a Facebook page and not a Facebook profile for your company. Some people do occasionally try to convert a personal Facebook profile into a Facebook page for their company, but there are several disadvantages to this approach. I'd be happy to discuss that in more detail if anybody's interested, but it's probably not relevant to most of you. I will mention, however, that Facebook pages provide a lot of tools and functionality that Facebook profiles don't. Here you can see an example of Facebook Insights, which you have access to if you have a Facebook page but not a Facebook profile. The chart that I've chosen to shows the number of daily, weekly, and monthly active users on your Facebook page. Facebook Insights will also give you demographic information about your users, whether they're male, female, where are they from, and what age range they are in. And it will also let you know how well your content performs, so which pieces of content got the most views, clicks, etc. Another advantage to Facebook pages is that they allow you to create special landing pages like the Starbucks landing page that's shown here. This is, a landing page that you would see if you haven't yet liked Starbucks. You would land here. You can see the like button at the top, and you have the opportunity to, see this as your first impression of their Facebook presence. It's also a great way to engage your audience. The example here is, fun and interactive, and it's also promoting their pumpkin spice latte. So this is, something that you're able to do to create these landing pages if you do have a Facebook page, and this is not something that's available to you if you're using a Facebook profile. For Twitter and LinkedIn, the sign-up process is pretty straightforward. There's nothing, unique or interesting to note there. But if you do sign up for Twitter, be sure to share your Twitter page link with others through email and with a link on your website. Foursquare does actually have a special sign-up process if you're a retailer. They allow you to claim your venue on Foursquare, meaning that you establish that you are the manager or owner of a particular business. They verify this through a phone call or snail mail. And once you've claimed your venue, you can create check-in incentives such as discounts. So now we'll go through a couple of basic social media do's and don'ts. First, before you begin, do discuss social media plans with key people at your company. Figure out what your company's goals and expectations are in terms of social media efforts. Give people the opportunity to express their opinions about what messages are appropriate for social media and which ones aren't. Do brainstorm ideas for conversation topics. Don't underestimate how much you have to contribute online. If you're feeling like you've run out of things to talk about, have a good brainstorming session and get creative. And don't forget to write ideas down. Another strategy is to simply jot down ideas whenever they come to you. Do give your followers a chance to participate. And this should be one of your main goals when it comes to social media, is to always be getting your followers to participate and interact with you. People like to share their opinions, and they like to, kind of talk about themselves a little bit, and that's a really great way to get them engaged with your company. So whenever you're choosing content to share, you should be asking yourself whether or not you're allowing people to interact with you, or if you're simply just pushing out a message that they can't necessarily respond to. So in this example, Target has a kind of fun, silly question that they've asked their followers, and you can see how many likes and comments it got. A very popular post, and that's usually the case whenever you let people talk about themselves or share their opinion. It's usually a big hit. So definitely use questions. Trivia questions as well can be fun for people. Polls, like the one I showed you on UniformMarket's Facebook page. You can create a poll on Facebook. It's actually pretty simple. Give a couple of options and then see what people have to say. And these are really good conversation starters if you have enough followers. If you only have a couple followers so far, probably not the best approach. Do take a look at how other companies are using social media. It's definitely not a good idea to copy other companies, but seeing how they use social media can spark an idea that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. It can also be helpful to look and see what kind of feedback they get from certain content. Maybe a video got a lot of feedback, and a simple text-based post didn't get as much feedback. So that can be useful for you to see when you're thinking about what kind of content you want to create. And it is worth noting that it is pretty easy nowadays to post a video, post a picture. Those are great things to share with your followers. Do keep a close eye on the data and make adjustments accordingly. We have all this great data that's available to us when we're using things like Facebook pages, Google Analytics. We talked about that in our last webinar. There's so much data that we have access to now, and why not make use of it? It can tell you a lot about your customers, what their interests are, who they are, where they're coming from, and this is really valuable when you're making important business decisions. So keep a close eye on the data that you're getting from Facebook or from Foursquare and make adjustments accordingly. So, see what works and what doesn't, and do more of what works. Do respond quickly and appropriately to negative feedback, as well as to questions about your products, services, or your company in general. If a customer is posting a negative comment on your wall, they have an expectation that you're going to respond to it promptly. And so does everybody else who's watching the drama unfold on their news feed. It can be difficult, but you need to respond quickly. Express your concern and offer to resolve the situation via email. but this also goes for if they just have a general question, the same holds true. They're looking for an immediate response. And in this example, you can see somebody has a question for Blower that they've posted on Blower's Facebook. And an hour later, they have a really great response from Blower, really detailed, really specific, and it's a great response. And this, should be the expectation that you have for yourself. Do respond even more quickly and enthusiastically to positive feedback. If you are so lucky as to receive an unsolicited positive comment via social media, respond to it immediately with a big thank you. In this example, you can see that a really happy customer has posted a compliment on the 511 Tactical Facebook page regarding their customer service, and 511 responds by thanking the customer. And again, it's done within about an hour, which is, ideal and very appropriate. Just a couple of don'ts. Don't offer too many incentives and not enough content. It can be tempting to, offer a lot of incentives like discounts, coupons, contests for people to participate in to get more followers or to get people excited. And definitely incentives are a great way to achieve those goals, but make sure that you strike a good balance between incentives and real content. If your followers are interested in nothing but freebies, that's not really going to benefit you in the long run. Because they're not going to be very loyal customers who are really dedicated to your company and what you do. They're more interested in, what they can get for free. So, take a look at your data, and of course, expect that incentives will always get people more excited than anything else, but be sure that your regular content is doing fine as well. Don't use the same content over and over again. The name of the game when it comes to social media is keeping things fresh, new, and interesting. And if you're posting the same exact message each and every day, you're really missing out on the real benefit of social media, which is developing an interactive relationship with your customers and allowing your customers to develop a real affinity for you and your company. Of course, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Even very large, very visible companies have made some serious social media mistakes, but they've managed to bounce back. And nothing is permanent, and nothing is set in stone online. Anything can be undone, and you can really bounce back from just about anything. Now, we'll talk just really briefly about ways that people can share with you, interact with you, and share your content with others. The first is having follow us buttons on your home page, or if you're sending out emails to customers, email newsletters, you should include these as well. They link to your social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever you'd like. You can post a link with a graphic like this on your home page. Now, just to be clear, these link to your Facebook profile or your Twitter account. So if somebody clicks on it, they'll be taken to your Facebook page so they can see, what you're all about. With something like Add This, which is something that we at UniformMarket integrate into all of our sites that we create, these are buttons that allow your visitors to share your content with their friends, family members, whoever they'd like via Facebook, Twitter, and over 300 other social media outlets. So in the first image, you can just see the basic look of it, on how it would look on a site. So you have the 6 main buttons there. They can add the page, whether it's a product page or your About Us page or whatever it is that they're interested in. They can share it with others via Facebook, Twitter, email. They can print the page, or they can save it to their favorites. And then if they mouse over the plus button, that orange plus button, that'll pop open a box that you can see down below. It has Facebook, Reddit, Blogger, Tumblr, and 328 other social media outlets. You'd be amazed how many social media outlets there are and how many people actually use these. A lot of which you've probably never heard of, but people do use them, and it's nice to give them that option to be able to share your content in whichever way is best for them. So to be clear on this one, though, if they're clicking on the Facebook image on the Add This, part of your website, that's going to be posting your content to their Facebook page. So it's not taking them to your Facebook page. It's just sharing your content through their own social media outlets that they use. So at UniformMarket, we build e-commerce sites for our clients, and these sites offer high-quality apparel, footwear, and accessories. And a lot of what we do is helping our clients with search engine optimization strategies. We help them with their social media efforts. We can also help them manage, their Facebook page or a blog, and we'll be talking about blogging in our next webinar, actually. But that's a huge part of what we do here. We don't just build websites. We help our clients succeed by, helping them with the big part of social media and SEO, which is, we think just as important as building a great website is helping them promote their website through these, new avenues. So that is our presentation for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And now I will open it up to some questions.
So Emily, that was a great presentation.